tell me what's going on for you with your prep and how I could help.
So I'm just diving in. I believe I'm on my second week, second or third week. And so I'm only focusing on logic games right now, but I'm finding that one of my problems is that I am setting up the diagram correctly. I'm doing the initial setup for each local question I'm getting correct, but then I'll always miss one question or I'll miss two questions. And it always has to do with that detail. And then I'll go in depth in correcting the questions that I miss. And I set up the diagram correct for that question, but I missed some sort of detail. And so I don't know if I'm trying to take, these are untimed questions. So I'm trying to take my time reading through each answer. But sometimes I'll narrow it down to two answers and then I just pick the incorrect one. Then I look back and think, how did I think that? And so just, I guess, getting over that hump, getting from the 4 out of 5 to consistently 5 out of 5. Because I'm getting there, just not consistently.
Yeah, well, it sounds like you're almost all the way there. The question is those little details on those specific questions. So when you say you're missing a detail, do you mean that something is inaccurate or that you're not going far enough?
I think I'm not going far enough because I'm definitely skimming the surface of the question with the diagram. And so applying those to the available answers, I think I'm doing, but I'm just maybe not following through deep enough as I should when I thought I was confident in that answer. Then I look back and it's wrong.
Mm-hmm. Are you watching the explanation videos?
Yes, I am. I was thinking it might just have to do with the time because I'm definitely practicing using the digital prep through LSAC. And so I always see the timer right there. And so I'm maybe just getting out of that mental zone or that mental, the state of mind of looking at that timer going down and thinking, I've been on this problem for 30 minutes or 20 minutes. So.
Well, yeah, that's a good point. The time can definitely add a stress. Mm-hmm. So a couple of thoughts for you. One is that the timer on the digital LSAT site, as well as on the actual LSAT, you can remove that.
Okay.
You can click it to make it disappear. Once you have 5 minutes remaining, then the timer stays and you can't get rid of it. But for at least the first 30 minutes, you don't have to have that countdown timer adding the stress.
Okay. I think since I'm so early on in my studying, that might work for me. But once I am timing each section, I think it would be beneficial to at least see where I'm at in terms of what I'm allotting to each question, hitting that mark. And then I've watched a few of your rule substitution videos, but those also seem to be an area that I'm lacking in, just applying it because I always pick the most attractive incorrect answer. And so I think that's just one of the stresses that I'm also experiencing in logic games.
Yeah, well, the rule substitution is definitely a separate area to focus on, and I would drill that. I have a big list of every rule substitution question that's ever appeared. I'll send you a link to that resource afterwards. You can just handpick those and do them specifically because they have shown up on nearly every exam since they first appeared in 2009. So it's worth drilling those and preparing for those. And then also knowing that since you're in your early stages, definitely work untimed. Just give yourself a chance to get accurate on everything, and including the rule substitution. Drill those untimed just to get a better sense of what's involved in solving them, including using previous work.
Okay. I've watched a few of your videos. I'm from California. I'm looking at an early decision program because I am trying to aim for a higher LSAT score to receive merit-based scholarships. And so I was just wondering, I guess, just for additional advice, I'm looking at my top school, my top desired school at their early decision program. And obviously that it requires some sort of commitment once you do receive a decision. And so I guess just your experience with the early decision programs and students choosing that or regular decision. I'm looking specifically at UC Davis Law. And so looking into their program, I know they offer a few scholarships specifically for that pool of applicants. And so I don't know if the pros outweigh the cons for the early decision.
That's a great question. Yeah, early decision programs are tricky because you lose any scholarship negotiating power. If you had multiple offers and you could go from one school and tell them what another offered you, that might you could leverage that to get more money out of them.
Oh, okay.
And so UC Davis in this case is balancing that by offering scholarships specifically for early decision applicants.
Mhm.
But I don't know how many of those scholarships they are offering or how large those scholarships are. And so I would be inclined against them, honestly. I would say you're probably better off applying regular or at least any non-binding application program, like early action, as it's known in undergrad, versus early decision. Look at the details on each program's offerings, but I would typically go non-binding. I think you'll, on average, end up with larger scholarships in the end.
Okay. And then have you had any experience with students who have enrolled in dual degree programs or a concurrent degree? I'm also looking at, along with a JD program, looking at a MA, so a master's in specifically history. And so at UC Davis, that would entail your first, it would be a 4-year program. And so your first year would be solely law school. And then the second and third year would be a master's as well as JD load.
Cool. Yeah, I mean, I've worked with a lot of applicants who do dual degree programs. Obviously, the details vary for each one. Just a question of, do you want to take that on? And then what are your career goals afterwards? And how does this dual degree program help you? And what kind of debt are you taking on for it, if any?
Yeah. Okay. Thank you so much for all the advice that you've given. I'm trying to allocate a specific amount of hours each day, specifically for the LSAT and then law school applications, because I am planning to apply this fall for fall 2021. So the LSAT is something I'm definitely concerned in. And then I haven't introduced myself to even the reading comprehension or logic reasoning yet. So I'm looking forward to solidifying my foundation for logic games and then building my confidence up as I go.
Awesome. Well, you've got plenty of time. So just make this your focus, the LSAT specifically for now. Once you've got a score on record, then you can better evaluate your various options for different law schools you would apply to. Even if you want to stay in California, of course, there's tons of law schools there. And you could also take some time to evaluate whether doing a dual degree program makes sense for you or not, both with regard to what your workload would be like, especially those second and third years, as well as what the cost associated would be.
Okay. And then do you have any, I know you have some other resources specifically for getting in the state of mind that is required for achieving a high level for the LSAT. I find that sometimes my mind tends to wander off, or I get a song stuck in my head when I'm on one section of the LSAT. And so do you have any specific advice for that, or just building up that, I guess, physical intensive study in your mind?
Yeah, for sure. And it's almost become cliche at this point, but mindfulness meditation, also known as, you could think of it as focus training, that could be really useful just to help you train your mind to notice when it's wandering and to just to bring it back. The other thing I'd say is simulating test day conditions as fully as possible. And so for the online LSAT Flex, that means at home at your desk in the same environment, you'll do the actual thing, replicating all of that as closely as possible to the test day itself. And then also clearing out that space, moving any clutter off your desk to make it a place you want to be. Okay.
I've tried to simulate what the environment would be for the LSAT Flex. But since I'm not in California at the moment, I was planning on doing an internship in DC at the U.S. Holocaust Memorial Museum. But COVID-19 bidding, we're hoping that moves to the fall term so far. So I do have options of taking it in Virginia or in California. So I'm going to see, once those are released, what would be most beneficial based on my confidence in each section, whether taking it in person. And then specifically for residency, since my permanent residence is in California, that's where my parents are, and they do support me financially. I was wondering if law schools would think it was inaccurate that I do claim California residency when I do live in Virginia. It was supposed to be a temporary residence for an apartment.
That's a good question. I'm not too sure about all the specifics of that, actually. If you're looking for like in-state tuition from the UCs, I don't know all the details of that, actually. I would contact them and ask what the requirements are.
Yeah, I was planning on reaching out just to some of the faculty and get some of their input, and even with the law school MA degree. So I was looking at those, just reaching out to them. Do you have any advice just for reaching out to faculty members? Just seeking more information about programs?
Yeah, I mean, I guess the question is, what do you want to know from them? What do you want to know? And are you looking to enlist them as an ally or advocate with the application process, or are you just purely asking out of interest?
I was looking to enlist them as an ally, or some sort of mentor, or in some way, just a source of advice for that.
Yeah, then I would treat it as more of like an informational interview. So I'd look up informational interviews, which are more of like a networking type thing, as opposed to looking to get a very short-term immediate benefit. So you're really looking to develop a relationship over time, asking lots of open-ended questions about them, let them do most of the talking, and just to impress them with your passion and your dedication. And then down the line, several months from now, maybe they can put in a word for you here or there. I wouldn't overly obsess about this, because law school admissions in particular is largely numbers driven, but these little things can help.
Yeah, definitely. And I'm trying to think, I have a few notes about some questions that I was going to discuss with you. I guess in terms of overall study and my study plan, I'm on a 4-month plan for the October LSAT. And so I'm working on that right now. And then I was just thinking some of the benefits of planning for a later LSAT. I was initially thinking that if the score from the October LSAT wasn't as desirable as I hoped it would be, taking it in November, but I have suspected that there's benefits in waiting a few months and showing the admissions counselors that I'm studying and I'm not just taking the next available exam. So I guess just your thoughts on that.
Yeah, I'd say really just take it when you're ready. So if you aim for October and you feel reasonably confident in taking it October, do that. Then if you have to retake in a later date, I wouldn't push it to January when you would be feeling ready by, let's say, November. I wouldn't delay for that reason alone. You don't want to have a pattern of taking 3 consecutive exams on 3 consecutive months, but 2 consecutive exams in 2 consecutive months, I think, is fine. And there is some slight benefit to applying relatively earlier, although it matters much, much less than it used to.
Okay. Thank you so much for everything.
Yeah, of course. Glad to help. Before we sign off, what would you say is the biggest insight you got from our call today?
I think just the direction that you gave in terms of logic games and really looking into my habits and my state of mind. And so fixing the foundation of how I'm studying, where I'm studying, what I'm using to study, and then how that affects what I'm doing in terms of specifically the LSAT questions. So I guess just solidifying that foundation first.
Awesome. Well, I'm glad we connected, and I look forward to having you in class.
Awesome. Thank you so much, and
My
have
pleasure.
a good day.
You too. Thanks for tuning into the show. Please subscribe if you haven't done so already to be notified of new episodes as I release them. And feel free to reach out if you need anything at all as you move forward with your prep. I'm happy to help however I can. In the meantime, I'll wish you all the best and take care.